Special Counsel Jack Smith continues forward with his January 6th investigation. Donald Trump already being prosecuted out of Florida, already had his arraignment, already pled not guilty, but that's just one piece of what I believe is a much bigger assault. We've got the New York Manhattan prosecution, that's one. Florida will be number 2. January 6th out of the D.C. Circuit Court will probably be number 3, with Georgia being number 4. And so January 6th is the one that people like Liz Cheney have been screaming about. If Trump is not indicted for this one, America is lost. We're all doomed. People like Paul Ryan, who together they make up a nice contingent of the gigantic uniparty, are now calling Trump dangerous and saying that our government has a responsibility to put him by the wayside. And Jack Smith, out of D.C., has been given all sorts of benefits and privileges from the D.C. judges, saying that he can interview Trump executives, he can interview Trump lawyers. All of these privileges are just irrelevant because Trump is so bad. And they've even gone after Giuliani and other lawyers, maybe dozens, who are on the Trump team. Here's what CNN has. This is an exclusive from them. The leaks continue. Everywhere we turn, more leaks. CNN gets it. Washington Post gets it. Everybody gets even audio and now discovery files. But CNN tells us this. Rudy Giuliani was interviewed in special counsel's 2020 election interference probe. Trump attorney has been interviewed by federal investigators as part of special counsel's investigation in efforts to overturn the election results. And the prosecutors are already using Trump's conversations with his lawyers against him massively, right? They're actually in the indictment. And we saw that here. Trump's conversations where he's actually asking questions about, is it possible for us to just say the documents don't exist? They say Trump got all of these intelligence briefings and made statements, but then retained these documents and colluded with people in his Mar-a-Lago residence to move the boxes around. And there are conversations with his lawyers that they're specifically referencing in here. Trump is asking legal questions that anybody asks their lawyers. If you are charged with a drug crime and you go hire a defense attorney, one of the most obvious questions is, what if I say the drugs weren't mine? It wasn't my car. It wasn't my bag. It wasn't, that's just an obvious case that you'll find on a law school exam. But it's a question that every attorney gets. What if I say this? What if I say that? So you're allowed to ask these questions. If you don't have the ability to ask these questions, do you even need a lawyer? Just go tell the truth to the cops, I guess, and they'll help you figure it out. So this is nuts. And they keep breaking attorney-client privilege as though it's meaningless because it's Trump. The meeting between Giuliani and his attorney, Robert Costello, and investigators took place in recent weeks. The sources declined to say what investigators' questions focused on, not been previously reported. Jack Smith has not announced any charges stemming from his efforts in January 6, but the interview with Giuliani comes amid a flurry of activity in this probe, which is examining a plan from Trump and his allies with the fake electors. And we've seen that they're already also offering immunity deals to people who may have signed those fake elector documents or the alternative slate of electors. Investigators have called a recent stream of witnesses before a federal grand jury in recent weeks and have pressed attorneys to quickly bring in other witnesses for interviews. Sources say, I wonder who these people are, that some of the grand jury questioning is centered on the action of top lawyers around the firm, including Giuliani. Investigators seeking information about claims of voter problems. A Giuliani political advisor told CNN, he said the appearance was entirely voluntary and conducted in a professional manner, and others from the special counsel's office have declined to comment on this. And so there's a lot of activity going on. And as usual, the Washington Post and MSNBC are on top of it. They know where this is going, and they tell us that the amount of attorneys who may have been investigated or subpoenaed by Jack Smith is much bigger than Giuliani. May have been dozens of other lawyers. And as we saw, they put what they get from these conversations with Trump's lawyers into criminal charges and into indictments. And so if he's asking anything about the election, well, what about this? What about that? What about, can we do this or call that person? All of it is going to be gobbled up from his own lawyers in violation of what I believe is attorney-client privilege that should have never been breached, and they're going to use it against them as criminal charges. Here's the backstory from MSNBC interviewing Washington Post.
Let me start with you, Carolina, just on this extraordinary and very detailed piece of reporting at what Jack Smith has turned to, who he's turning to for it, and why. Take us through it.
Nicole, I think what's important to remember about this great reporting by my colleagues especially that whopper of an email from Jason Miller, who's still working on Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. In this email, he's complaining, we obviously have some questions about this BS that's being presented in all of these campaign ads that are supposed to scare people into thinking that there is election fraud. Remember that 4 days into being named special counsel, Jack Smith asked a series of states in a subpoena for all of their communications with these precise lawyers, a group of about 13 to 20 different Trump lawyers, any communications they had with state election officials and others about all manner of things, including the validity of the election and about the fake elector scheme. So 4 days into his job, this is the kind of data and information and communications that Jack Smith was seeking. Now we're seeing some of the fruits of his labor, and also seeing, I think, Nicole, the trail that Jack Smith is trying to follow. That trail is, did people know this claim was completely bogus? Did they raise money off of it? And then, after making fraudulent claims and making money, what did they use the money for? Was there also a fraudulent claim about how the money would be used? Did they comply with the law in how it was actually spent? There are a lot of questions about that as well.
All right, so the investigation is going to continue to go forward, and the lawyer thing is a very big concern because they're going to just parse it out, and they're going to take out the worst segments and just use it against Trump. And how far the tentacles go, only time will tell. So certain people that we're familiar with here, like Liz Cheney, are very concerned, fearful, and afraid that Donald Trump might actually win again. And one way they can stop him from winning is by indicting him. They don't actually want to compete against him in an election with their candidate, Joe Biden. So they turn this around. The political campaign is legal prosecution. And Cheney is concerned that if there is an indictment, Trump might win.
Given what we know he did, given the extent to which we know he attempted to overturn the election, given his direct involvement in the fake elector scheme, given the extent to which he aided and abetted, at a minimum, those who are involved in the insurrection, failing to indict, failing to make sure he's held accountable, carries with it real danger for the republic. And so I certainly think that it would be proper, and that's the reason why obviously we made criminal referrals.
Yeah, they made criminal referrals for other people like Bannon and others who were part of the insurrection, but Trump was the head honcho. And we know how this theory goes, and there's a lot, I think, that they have been setting up, moving pieces around. Trump at the speech, at the debate with Joe Biden, when he made the Proud Boys stand back, stand down, stand by comment, they're going to latch onto that. They've got convictions now in the Proud Boys cases. So they will just use that. They'll say, look, they got convicted for seditious conspiracy. They'll say that in that trial, many of the Proud Boy co-defendants were pointing back to Donald Trump and saying he was the one who instigated all of this. And so they're going to use these convictions and the lawyers and these other allegations to create a case, and charges will come. And there's a lot of pressure, not only from the Democrats, but also from the mainstream Republicans. People like Uniparty Paul Ryan.
About Trump and who the Republicans should run.
Yeah, so I don't have that job anymore. So I'm very clear with, look, it's a disaster if we nominate Trump. I think that I've been saying this for a long time. But Liz is right, which is he could win. I think we lose with him. I think we're much more likely to lose. We haven't won anything with him since he first won in 16. We lost the House in 18, the presidency in 20, the Senate in 20, and we could have won the Senate in 2022, but for him.
Are you going to endorse it? Is Rupert going to tell you who to endorse?
No, I'm going to endorse whoever I want, but right now...
You're on the board of Fox. That's why I said it.
Yeah, I know.
Board of Fox.
I'm for anybody not named Trump right now.
Anybody not named Trump?
Anybody not named
RFK?
Trump.
Anybody not named Kennedy?
A Republican not named Trump. I'm for any Republican not named Trump, because I think we beat Biden for sure if we nominate a Republican not named Trump.
Any idea who you think could get everybody's down by 40 points.
We're going to find out. Look, Donald Trump and Joe Biden have a symbiotic relationship with each other. They make the best case for each other's candidacies, and it's a total disaster for our country. In a country of 350 million people, you think we could get somebody else.
Do you think you win if you nominate somebody not named Trump?
I do.
Because you make everybody who was supporting Trump very mad.
Yeah, so like I'm a never again Trumper, so obviously the 33% Trump base doesn't like a person like me because I'm very clear. I don't think he's fit, and I don't think he can win. Liz is right, he could, and that's dangerous. I mean, you think he could even populate a cabinet?
That's dangerous, right? He said Trump could win, and that's dangerous. And do you think he could even populate a cabinet?
To get through the Senate? I mean, it could be a total disaster. But I believe strongly, if we nominate a Republican, nominate Donald Trump, we win this White House. I really believe that. And so all we got to do is do that. And I think voters are going to realize his baggage is so big, we're not going to win with him. And there are all these other Republicans that they're fine with that could win. So I think there's plenty of Republicans that can traffic with MAGA and win the suburban vote and win the White House.
Did you watch Succession?
He seems a little freaked out to me. He seems like he's, trying to live in a fantasy world where he's going to have everything work out. Like there's only 33% MAGA, even though Trump's up by massive numbers in all of the polls. Nobody's even getting close. In fact, DeSantis, who was looking, maybe like a challenger, is also sort of marginalizing out, which means they've got to see a change. And how do you do that? Well, you indict him. You indict him again, and you indict him again. You do it 4 times. You do it in New York, Florida, D.C., and Georgia, and you wage political battles through the legal justice system. And Jack Smith is going after his lawyers. The Uniparty is coalescing around this effort. Of course, we'll continue to cover.